Welcome to Film Strip, movie reviews presented by Continuous Play Podcast. These podcasts are spoiler-filled as we discuss the plots, characters, and themes of the films in review. All content used or discussed in these podcast episodes is the property of the respective owners and used under the Fair Use Act, Section 504, C2, Title 17.
Welcome to Film Strip. I'm Jay.
I'm Ron.
And I'm Nick at the beach.
And this is our review of Blood Sand, a.k.a. The Sand. Starring, who are we kidding? No one you know, okay? Except Jamie Kennedy for like 5 minutes and directed by no one you've ever heard of. Budget, probably not much beyond that bunch of Tropicana sunscreen they're passing around and the hot dogs they throw around on the beach. I want to read text from Ron to me before we get into this here a little bit. Here's the first one. I want everyone to die in the first 10 minutes. And then the next one was, who do I get to blame this on? Nick? So, Nick, why are we talking about The Sand? I thought we were going to do Carnosaur after Stone Cold.
I don't know, man. This is kind of like, if we would have kept up with Nick's Asylum, this probably would have been a really great entry into that. That was a short-lived little one-off that we did Anaconda with, which I think we ended up like rebranding just a film strip review.
Yes, yeah.
But the original idea behind there was just grabbing some of the like awful monster-style movies. You know, me and Jay have done so many reviews, like, you know, with stuff like what's that one with
Congo,
the TV
and Sphere, and all of
Congo Sphere? Yeah, the one with
Planet of Dinosaurs.
Terror Vision.
Yes.
Terror Vision, which I think is probably our greatest review, but
the Critters saga. So.
Yeah, it was like kind of in that motif. But I found this movie. I was back in town, back in my home state of Wisconsin for just work for a couple nights, and I was just up at like 11 o'clock. Had kind of a buzz going on from drinking too much, which is normally every night, by the way. But I'm just kind of going through my phone, and I downloaded the Showtime Anytime app, and I was going through just horror movies. I'm just like, let me just watch something really stupid. And I saw a girl in a bikini with tentacles around her, and I'm like, this is right up my alley. So ended up watching it that night, and I was like, Jay's got to watch this. I don't know why I'm thinking of you at night watching Tentacle Girl movies for buzz, but
I don't know either. I'm a little more worried about that now. And so, okay, so Ron, it's my fault then because I drug you into this. So. Okay, yeah, I watched the first 2 minutes of this, and I was like, oh yeah, Ron's joining in. So.
Yeah, my wife is not super thrilled. This is one of the rare film strip movies that we watched together, because I was able to watch it on demand on my TV through Showtime. So
you made your wife watch it? That's awesome.
Yes, because I didn't want to. Well, I watched the I presume highly illegal clip on YouTube that was missing the first 10 minutes, and I was like, well, the first 10 minutes has a guy getting his face eaten off, so maybe it'll be something we can both enjoy. And, you know, it kind of was, and it also kind of wasn't.
Yeah, the one that's on YouTube out there that probably will be yanked by the time this comes out, but it's like missing the last 2 minutes and the first 10 minutes. Not that, like, the establishing scenes of the first 10 minutes are anything you need, but I found out that this is on Prime right now, so you Amazon subscribers like me and my wife, I found this on Prime. I did not get the wife to watch this one with me, though she did catch the tail end of it going, what's that? And I said, I'm not really sure. And that's all. And I think I texted you at one point, I think this thing's a jellyfish. I don't really know. We're going to talk about it.
I got to throw it out there, though, real quick first, Jay, is if you go to Facebook, this is actually free on Facebook. It is. Wow. It is. You can find the video right on Facebook. It's on the page for it. You can watch the entire movie in its entirety. So I pulled an Austin Powers there, but yes, you can watch this on Facebook. So
that's fantastic. I can't imagine anyone's trying to really make anything off of this. And I think Jamie Kennedy must have known the director, who basically is an art director on other things. That's what I've found out about him. He must have known this guy and like maybe they were buds or he owed him a favor. I don't know. He had pictures of, I mean, like anything could embarrass Jamie Kennedy, but I don't know. We'll get into his cameo, if you will, as we get into this film. But I knew immediately I was back in Asylum territory, which we delve into that from time to time. We have some fun with some bad movies.
Did by any chance, Jay, did you look up the writers of this particular thing?
I did not. Are they notable?
One of them is Alex Greenfield, who was a head writer for Raw, SmackDown, and ECW television from 2006 through to be about 2008.
So this is Freddie Prince's fault then, because he probably worked with him too. I did not know that.
Well, and actually, the other writer wrote the screenplay to Carnosaur 3. So.
Oh, so now there's our connection, because
I'm just making that up because I know Carnosaur is kind of our thing right now. So
he didn't write Carnosaur 3, but he is Warren Zevon's son-in-law.
No way, really?
That's what his IMDb says. That's the most funny thing about him. So
basically, this movie is made by a bunch of people that know famous people. I think that's kind of the theme here. One of these actresses is supposed to be something off of a Disney show, I think, or something like that. The African-American girl who we have to make a crack about how she's already got a good base layer and doesn't need suntan lotion, right in the middle of the film. I think she's supposed to be somebody like that, but nobody else. Like, I know there's a Playboy Playmate in it for like 5 minutes, and I'm like, not what you expect from one, by the way. And no, I didn't recognize another person. Did y'all recognize anybody else besides Jamie Kennedy in this for 2 minutes?
No, not at all.
I thought the one girl kind of gave me that. Who's the girl from The Shallows? What's her name?
Blake Lively.
Yeah, she had like a Blake Lively vibe, and that's all I had from there.
Like
and that's probably just
Blake Lively. So.
Pretty much. I mean, that's exactly it. So I think it was just the bikini top.
Is that the girl Kaylee, or is that the girl Ronnie?
That's Kaylee he's talking about. Got to be Kaylee. Ronnie's your standard 90s fake blonde hoe.
Ronnie's the one who looks every bit of the 30 years old that she is, and she's making this movie.
Yes. Does not look like a college student. At least they didn't try to pass them off as high school students. I will not lie. I thought the guy that Kaylee's hanging out with, like not hooking up with like her friend zone guy, was the dude from Owl City. I really did. Like, I even wrote, like, why is the Owl City guy in horror movies? I thought he was like, emo Christian or something. But anyway, we're getting ahead. But he does look like that dude.
We don't want to spoil anything too early in this very complex movie.
Well, I mean, spoiler alert, it's time for a plot summary. Nick, this is your fault.
Wait, Jay?
Yeah.
Before we get started, speaking of Disney, Owl City guy was on a whole bunch of Disney shows.
That is true. I forgot that. You're right. Adam, what's his name, was on a lot of Disney shows. So.
No, the other one is Owl City, I think. Mitchell Musso.
Oh, I don't know him.
That's the guy with the who's hanging out with Kaylee with the shaggy hair and the kind of big nose.
Oh, that's him. Okay, he was on Disney shows, the Owl City guy, like not the real Owl City guy, but the guy I call Owl City guy.
Yes,
that's what you're saying. Okay, so we got Disney alums here, slumming it in a no-budget horror movie. I mean, look, that's been the way of Hollywood for years, is you do a horror movie and that kind of gets you into doing films sometimes. Unfortunately, you got to pick one that, like, helps. You got to pick a better script. I mean, Brittany Snow tried to do this in Prom Night, that dreadful remake of a dreadful film. I hate the first Prom Night. I'm going to tell you right now, it's bad. And then the remake's even worse. So
it worked for Billy Zane and Critters. So
you know what? He's had a more of a career than any of these people. Okay, so you watch out about Billy Zane.
I love Billy Zane, man.
Well, we loved him in Demon Knight way back in the day, Ron. So we've had our Billy Zane moments here on this show. But
I'm a Zaniac. I'll freely admit that.
How much better would have Superman versus Batman been if Billy Zane was Lex Luthor? That's all I'm going to say.
I don't know. Is he going to play that same weird thing Jesse Eisenberg was doing? Because that would be...
No. If they did his character from Titanic as Lex Luthor, just like a schwarmy businessman, would have been perfect.
Yeah, because that's kind of what he should have been, and not the Riddler, but whatever. So, I liked Batman v Superman, but I will not defend that performance. It's terrible. So, anyway, back to, once again, back on Random Cast.
Back to Carnosaur.
Back to The Sand. Nick, since this is your fault, I'm going to have you read the plot summary, please. Tell everyone out there who does not need to waste their time watching this what The Sand is all about.
All right, a bunch of kids go to the sand and they die. That's it. So, nope. To get a little bit more in depth, a bunch of 20-somethings party on a beach and pass out after all the fun and excess, which includes some dudes finding a big ball of goopy slime. Yes, you can take that for what it is. When they awake the next morning, the beach is eerily quiet and two of the friends are quickly devoured by the sand. A policeman played by Jamie Kennedy shows up. God, that's sad that we got to keep on bringing up Jamie Kennedy like he's like the big actor star in this. But anyway, he shows up and he is killed by the sand as well. And eventually the group is whittled down to 2 girls and 1 guy. Jonah is injured, but he and the 2 girls take refuge in a car as the sand creature continues to attack, this time in the form of really bad CGI tentacles that match something from PlayStation 1 days. But anyways, the girls wake up the next morning to find Jorah succumb to his injuries, but the creature is gone. The 2 walk in shock across the sand as we see it was a giant jellyfish responsible for all of this and is heading towards another beach full of people. So it's, as Jay says, it's like Tremors, but somehow much dumber. Yeah. Which, screw you, Tremors is awesome. But anyways,
Tremors is a great movie.
I liked Tremors. We reviewed it back in the day. Yes, but it is Tremors, except dumber. Look, we know going in, it's a B monster pick, right? Like you picked it out because of that, Nick. So going in, I have no expectations other than give me a decent monster and some pretty people that it's going to kill, right?
This is not even B level. This is like Kathy Griffin style, like celebrity level, like D-list horror. Literally, we got to get this out of the way. When we say like the sand is like killing the people, it's not like some like mummy effect of like the sand coming up and grabbing people. It's literally them laying on the sand screaming.
There are those little things that like strings or like
yeah, they did. Yes, they did that in like Adobe After Effects that was released back in 1999. Okay, that's basically the graphics. Yeah, it looks like little like I don't know what you want to call it, like little pieces of thread coming up and grabbing them. Very bad CGI, but for the most part of this, it is actually people just like laying on the sand in screaming in agony as the sand is, I don't know, sucking them dry, blowing them. I don't know. I'm putting the E in explicit here, people. So you got to bear with me.
Let me ask you this, Ron. Nick, you may not have a point of reference for this, but Ron, worst CGI graphics, After Last Season or The Sand?
After Last Season, then After Last Season makes The Sand look like Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Okay, so it's not that bad.
I mean, but I will say that The Sand, or I will say that Birdemic makes After Last Season look like, Green Lantern.
Yeah, well, yeah, there we go. That's a good comparison. Okay, so what plot there is this is a college graduation party, something like that. And everybody's partying on the beach because the opening of this is like cell phone footage and then cuts to like eerily quiet on the beach and there's no one there until we start seeing the pretty people asleep in the car and all this other stuff. And Owl City guys running around with, no cell phones, but of course there's the one cell phone that's recording all of this crap. And I'm like, we meet the lead girl, Kaylee, the stand-in Blake Lively, who apparently is pissed at her boyfriend Jonah because he's hooking up with Shanda, and that's all I know. Like, there's a fat guy who ends up stuffed in a trash can, and a couple people in the back seat. I don't know what becomes them, and there's like a topless girl on a park bench, and I don't know how all of that ended there. Like, we just see people partying, but like I never know how people wound up where they are. Maybe that's what we're supposed to believe, is everybody just took a big hit of X and then just it was over, right?
I guess. I don't know. I've been to some parties, and normally where you fall asleep makes a lot of sense. I'm trying to figure out how of course there's got to be the big fat guy in the movie. You know what I mean? It's like every group of people, every group of like, attractive people have like the big fat person there to make themselves feel better, I guess, by comparison. And he's like in a trash bin. I don't even know how that's possible that he could fall asleep. And the best part about the movie, though, is you don't even realize the guy's there until like 25 minutes in, where it's just like he wakes up and it's like these people made no mention of the big, large black guy in a trash can about 20 feet away from him the entire time until he wakes up. It's just it's great editing and directing there. But
to their credit, though, two of their friends get eaten by the sand like very quickly, so they're kind of thrown off by that. The fat guy in the trash can is the secondary shock.
I guess he reminds me of, for any WWE fans, he reminds me of Brodus Clay.
I was getting Kamala off of him, but yeah,
Funkasaurus there, because he's got who was the guy that just died? Umaga, when he had that big thing on his, he had like that tribal tattoo on his face.
The half moon.
He's kind of he's kind of like that, but as opposed to being a half moon, it's a half penis drawn on his face. So
yeah, he passes out and his friend draws a dick on his face. So cause that's so funny, because it was funny in 1990 whatever when American Pie did it. So let's do that again.
Yeah. Can we just call him Dickhead from here on out?
He had a name. I don't know what it is. It was just fat guy.
Yeah, we're just gonna call him Dickhead.
No, we know his name because they scream it at him constantly. His name is Gilbert.
Because he so looks like a Gilbert.
They're all
Well, I'm thinking
nothing. Gilbert Brown. Yeah.
Gilbert Brown. I'm thinking of Gilbert Brown from the Green Bay Packers, the big fat guy that they used to put at nose tackle. They could stuff him up. So that's great callback there, guys. So I guess Gilbert is kind of a fat name. So
maybe one of these guys. All the Gilberts just shut this podcast off, Nick. Thanks.
Well, it's not my.
I'm Gilbert Gottfried.
It's not my fault they're fat.
I did feel bad for that guy, though, because that's an awful prank. Not only does he have a penis on his face, but he's in a friggin' trash can and he can't get loose. And he's just stuck there all day. Of course, they feed him by throwing him hot dogs and warm Pepsi. And I cannot believe the Pepsi-Cola product in here. I just have a feeling like there were no clearances or whatever, and they just said they're never going to care. And they just went with it, because there's a Diet Mountain Dew prominently placed at different times.
They're just like, trust me, they're never going to see this.
And I imagine no one has. So I would hope not, at least. So.
Actually, I was looking at the YouTube views for the movie. There's only 3 views on there, so I'm figuring one's Ron and one's Jay. So.
But yeah, the 2 of them are us. So.
We're making up 66% of the viewing audience for this movie.
Whatever ad revenue is tied to it, whoever posted that's getting a check now. So.
Well, I can guarantee you that these actors were probably all paid with 6 packs of Pepsi and Diet Mountain Dew. So.
Are you kidding? These girls have never had anything sugary to drink in their life. Are you kidding me? They all need to eat a sandwich or 2.
Yeah,
good grief.
Owl City guy looks like the kind of dude who takes down a 12-pack of Diet Dew during like some sort of online red pill chat session.
Or he's designing his own Doom layer or something like that, or playing Duke Nukem 3D. So, yeah, he's definitely that guy.
He's getting in a time machine and going back to 1995 and playing Duke Nukem.
Yes, there we go. Or maybe he's playing Quake. I don't know. But Diablo. But, the guy, he is not... I love it that he has this whole thing with Kaylee, too, about, like, nothing happened. Like, nothing. Like, he goes on about it, and she's like, I'd know if I had sex with you, moron. How did I wind up in here with you? And so, no one knows, and then they're just down in straight warm vodka, because that's a great way to consume that. Yeah, God. There are all kinds of poor choices. I'm with you, Ron. I wanted everybody dead quick too. I was like, can we focus on the creature? And that's what really makes me mad about this movie. They have to wuss out to this like awful CGI tentacle crap. Like you cannot tell me they couldn't put together like a fake arm and sling it across something. Like if you're gonna go tentacle monster, there's like parts laying in the dumpsters in Santa Monica. Pick one up. I wanted practical monster. I think that's the thing that makes a movie like this work versus one that like I just sit there and just want it to burn, is when it just goes cheap on the computer effects, because it's so awful.
Well, can we do? I mean, we brought up Tremors before. Can we just say that like the best part about that movie is the practical effects within that entire movie, and then when you watch like the sequels, it is like they went all this like CGI route, and it's like that, you know, besides, you know, just being a better movie, period, it's like that's what really makes that movie special, is just that early 90s practicality. And yeah, I mean, come on, they could do this shit so easy. I mean, they could literally have someone reach their hand underneath there and use their freaking fingers with like tentacle like attachments on there to kind of like, you know, grab at them or something. It would be so much more charming than literally what looks like it's just like little tiny, like, look, it honestly looks like I said, like Adobe After Effects, like someone just used like the lightning effect and just slowed it down. So you have like these little like reaches of like white wire that's like touching people's face. And it's not even doing anything. It's just like touching their face, but you hear them screaming and they're coughing up red dyed corn syrup. So
now I will say the one guy that got his face half melted, the guy that was in the back seat with Ronnie or whatever, that like early on dies when Topless Girl dies, that actually looked pretty good. What was his name again? Vance. That actually looked okay. I thought, you know what, that ain't half bad. Like if you're going to do cheap CGI, and that's the reason you do it, it's cheaper than practical. I get it, okay? But that actually looked okay. Like I thought, okay, we're going to get gore fest. Let's at least do that. Blood on the beach. I'm down. But we don't even really get a lot of that. Like,
well, that one looked good. Jamie Kennedy's arm getting ripped off looked good. And even the first appearance of the little weird string tendrils looked decent, but the more powerful they got, they made them thicker, or they wasted all their After Effects budget in the beginning of the movie and then had to cheap out when they got to their big finale.
Well, I could see the conversation going, guys, we either can do a couple more gore scenes, but if we do that, that means that there's no more Pepsi. We got to go to RC Cola.
No, there's no suntan lotion or hot dogs. There's one point where they start like throwing around a bottle of a sunscreen, and I'm like, I think this is the actors revolting, going, if I'm going to have to stand out here in the friggin' heat all day, at least don't make me, bake in all of this. Because that was like real, like no ad 45 SPF they're throwing around.
Yeah, the banana boat budget was pretty much half of it.
And then they have a pack of hot dogs that they just start throwing to each other, and then they use, like the rocks in Tremors, to try to distract the thing so they can run across the sand in towel feet.
And they've got the world's only 4-pack of hot dogs.
Right. That never happened.
The most exciting moment in the film for me was when they threw that hot dog, and, 3 of the hot dogs got eaten by the tendrils, and then the 4th hot dog just kind of got stuck standing up in the dirt.
Yeah.
That made me ridiculously happy, because they didn't plan that. That hot dog just accidentally got stuck standing up.
You think they were shooting at that, and the director was like, "We're done. Burn them up for the day." So, like, that's it.
I could just see everybody in the set like looking at that going, did that just happen? We got to keep that shot, guys.
Everybody on the set, there was the director and some guy with a microphone, and that was it. There was no lighting, and then the actors.
Well, that was the inspiration the girl in the beginning needed to go back and do a topless scene. She was like, if that's happening, this is happening.
No. So. That girl is a Playboy playmate. They hired her because she would do the topless scene. I'm sure the other 3 girls were like, we'll wear the bikini, but I'll make out with the dude, but The one girl's wearing shorts the whole time. So the Kaylee girl. So they hired the Playboy model you get 2 scenes. You wake up, half naked on a park bench, you jump down to the sand, and then act like the sand eats you. The end. And that's her whole scene. Like, I know nothing else about her.
Well, that's all we need for her. I mean, she can scream really well, I guess.
So what is the thing? Like, Jonah uses his surfboards or something to like go for a bag that he finds soft drinks, and bananas, but he gets like these weird stomach wounds, and I was never really sure as to like were worms growing out of him. What was happening? Was he becoming part jellyfish? Like what was that all about?
He was the tendrils were pulling the surfboard away from the table, and he basically got caught planking, and then while he was planking, the tendrils went up and gouged his stomach with some puffy paint.
But he like dies of this later on, like slowly and agony.
It's poisonous.
It's awful, right? Has either of you ever been stung by jellyfish?
Oh yeah, yeah. But I was down in the on a cruise. We were in the Caribbean, and the area that we were scuba diving in was just covered with jellyfishes. I mean, just little ones, but man, that just sucked. Especially, I got hit right in the face with one. It's a terrible stinging feel.
I was waiting for one of them to tell him to pee on himself. Because, I mean, they'd been drinking all night, and what we saw them drinking was a giant keg of beer that I assume was in the garbage can before they stuffed Gilbert in there. So, unless he wet his pants while he was sitting in the car, he probably had to pee. So he should have just peed on his stomach and at least taken the sting out of them.
Not to pick on the opposite sex here, but what girl doesn't wake up in the morning and like not run to the bathroom? None of the four even like act like that's a possibility at any time. See,
at least the two in the guard shack might have had access to like a bathroom.
Right, like the Kaylee and Al City guy had that, but the people that have been in the car all night didn't have access to one.
And considering all the alcohol they were supposed to be drinking that night, nobody, depending on male or female, you were pissing like a racehorse the next morning.
Exactly, right? Like this is what I'm saying. Like you can have a dumb movie. I'm not against this movie because it's dumb. Don't get me wrong. I'm against it because it's lazy and dumb. Like at least be engaging. Like I don't care about any of these people. I have no reason to care about any of them. I don't care that Kaylee's going to grad school or what the hell ever she says she's going to go do. Like I know nothing about any of them. You don't want me to know about any of them. You want me to know that her and the other girl are fighting over the same guy. The guy dies, basically saving them, and then now they're friends as they walk off into the sunrise together. That's the whole like arc of the people in this movie. Otherwise, there's nothing that makes you care about anybody in this. You watch a movie like Tremors or even Terror Vision, like all those goofy characters. Like I can get behind the grandpa that's like shell shocked and still in the war and all that, and the kid and like the rocker boyfriend, cousin or uncle Rico and all that. Like you get behind the characters. Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward carry the Tremors movie, for goodness sakes. There's nobody here that I would just want to see them all die horrifically. And that works in a Friday the 13th movie because I can get into the uniqueness of the kills and there's the Jason angle and all that stuff. But like in this, there's nothing there.
Well, there's nothing unique about any of these kills. They're all eaten by tendrils, except for the guy getting his face ripped off and Jamie Kennedy losing an arm. They cheap out on, well, no, because that one guy dissolves in like a big puddle of entrails.
Yeah,
but that didn't look good. But
no,
two of those things looked okay.
Yeah, the face guy that like the first one that gets sucked in half by the acid sand, I called it or whatever. That looked good. Jamie Kennedy's arm was pretty cool, and then he just like disappears. And then Al City guy gets like totally. It looks like that thing in Creepshow when the bugs eat that guy alive. It's sort of that thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's or like Slither, if y'all ever seen that cheapy movie. But there's nothing like, again, there's nothing unique about it. There's nothing fun about it. And the other thing is I don't have any explanation as to what the H this thing is. Like, you don't have to tell me everything, but you're not building a franchise here. So you need to tell me where that egg came from. It's Cloverfield's, dumb cousin. It's something like the army released that, and like I need the army at the end to go, that wasn't our time, was it, or something like that, or that experiment failed. Like I need some good conspiracy to go with it, because then maybe I'll care about it. But that's where you
get that's where you get Eric Roberts to show up with a pair of binoculars,
yes.
and your last shot of the movie is him putting down the binoculars and being like, Project X, it's functional.
Either that or like Steven Tobolowsky or somebody like that,
No, they can't get Tobo. He's too expensive. he would like require money.
Roberts might do it for a spray tan. You're right. So.
Eric Roberts would do it for that bottle of vodka they were keeping in the cooler.
No.
Well, I'm thinking if this movie had more of a budget, I mean, they definitely would have had something with like the government being behind this or knowing something, almost, like almost all these monster movies do, and like them showing up in a helicopter because, they can't touch the sand or something like that. And then later in the movie, the tentacles coming up and ripping the helicopter down and crashing into the lifeguard shack. But no, we don't get any of that in this. We just get towels on the feet.
We get towels on the feet. We get Kaylee opening up a gas can and dropping the MF before she, lights the thing on fire, which only seems to piss the thing off. It doesn't really seem to do anything. And then they get in the car and wait for Jonah to die so that they can walk out in the morning, and that's it. Like this.
Oh, we're also all forgetting about how they essentially pepper sprayed a dying girl.
Yes, let's talk about poor Ronnie and the way that she gets it too, because that is awful. She's trying to get the cell phones, so they lock all the cell phones up in the trunk. So that they've made the point about this in the opening. They keep talking about it. So she's like there's 10 minutes of her balancing on the back bumper, holding onto a towel while trying to turn the key and open it was like watching Richard Pryor and the drunk guy in Superman 3 try to turn the computer on. It's a Rube Goldberg. But then she slams her fingers in the thing and in the trunk, and her two girlfriends are like, "We'll just yank it out on the count of 3." That's good.
And from what I can tell, they rip her fingers off.
Yeah, I think that's what we're led to believe, is that the fingers are left in the trunk.
Which, I mean, you can't just open the trunk and get your hand out.
Yeah, and like they make this thing about how, this back seat you can't go in through the trunk or whatever. I'm like, even if it's not made to, you rip the back seat out, you're in the trunk. I was like, nope, that's how cars are made, kids. So unless the engine's in the back, and they're not in the back of that one. So yeah, that was. We tried to build tension. Like, I'll give them credit, that was supposed to be a tension moment, but it was just dumb because I kept waiting for her to slip off and actually get eaten from the feet up. The fact that didn't happen was a little disappointing, actually.
Yeah, that's what I wanted too. I wanted her to get like eaten from the feet up, and then I wanted that actress to leave the movie because she was super annoying.
Yes, I agree. Like, we needed that to happen. The way she goes out, though, is like you said, they pepper spray her.
Yeah, she falls, and she says, "Oh, I'm okay," and then she gets grabbed apparently, and then they decide to because the monster they decided doesn't like pepper spray because who does, but they decide to just start pepper spraying the ground all around her. Now, I don't know if anyone here has ever been pepper sprayed, but pepper spray, I'm not surprised. Pepper spray doesn't work that way. You're not controlling like a burst of pepper spray. It's kind of a cloud that just goes everywhere. And if the wind is blowing backwards against your face, it goes in your eyes too.
Yeah, because the morning riptide wouldn't affect that at all. So, yeah.
Well, my question too is like, they couldn't do an effect like you're saying, like eating from like the feet up, like where someone's getting like sucked into the sand, just like Trimmers where, you see, I don't know who's, any of the people in the movie got eaten, how they get like sucked down into the ground. It's like, I can't imagine that's that hard to do. And talk about just like a missed opportunity to have something a little bit different than someone just laying on the ground screaming.
You know what would have been neat? Like, because we've already decided we all hate this, so let's just fix it here. Like, if you had a better effect, like, what would have been fun is you drag her halfway down, and then it, like, spits her, but only half of her back across, and, like, she goes on the deck of the lifeguard shack or something. Like, that would have been cool and kind of, gory and weird and fun, but that would have been different. It would have given us, like, we don't know what this thing is. It could be a space worm, it could be a snake. It could be a darn sand shark for all we know. There is a movie where the shark attacks through the sand. I've seen part of it. But
I'm thinking too, this entire movie too, I mean, this has got to be like based off of someone being like, remember when you were a kid and you played Hot Lava? On the like I'm sure we've all done that before we were little kids. Like the carpeting is hot lava. You got to jump from couch to couch. You know what I mean?
Dumbest game of hot lava ever filmed.
Yes, that's what this is. It was just like, remember when we played that? Why don't we make a movie about that?
Somewhat less exciting than actually watching kids play hot lava. Lower stakes.
I still play hot lava.
Yeah, you do have the kids, so this is true.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I was playing it yesterday. He's not even home, so.
What? We're just all these things you're revealing tonight. None of them are surprises to anyone that's listened to this show for the last several years.
Oh, when you see a 270-pound guy jump from couch to couch playing hot lava, I hear it's pretty funny.
Nick is not kidding. Y'all, he looks like a defensive end. Like, imagine Cam Newton playing hot lava in his living room. So that's a white Cam Newton with a glass of whiskey and some ice crunching in the background. There we go. So we haven't. Do we want to talk about why Jamie Kennedy shows up? And since he is the star of the film, I guess you'd say he's the policeman, and he shows up to berate them for like who's holding. And, I know somebody's hot. That's the only way any of this happens.
It's not really worth discussing. Jamie Kennedy shows up to essentially be a cameo. He comes rolling by. The beach is apparently closed because they close beaches in the middle of the day for some reason.
Right, like I never got a good explanation about that. I think we're led to believe that like there are like 40 missing people on that beach because all of their friends are gone. So presumably eaten throughout the night by the sand creature.
But that's not why he shows up. He's just randomly driving along, I think.
Yeah, he's just patrolling.
Yeah, and then here's my question. You couldn't get anybody from Baywatch?
The kid from Baywatch, right?
Yeah. I mean, for the price of a Jamie Kennedy, you could have gotten, what was the name of the black dude who rode on the ATV? You could have gotten him. You could have gotten the one guy who had the creepy mustache and was kind of balding, but was the only actual lifeguard working in front of the camera. Yeah. You probably could have gotten Hasselhoff if he wasn't too busy shooting cameos for SpongeBob movies.
You couldn't have gotten somebody from Baywatch Nights to do it. You know what? You couldn't have gotten Hulk Hogan from Thunder in Paradise Land to come do this?
No, Hulk Hogan's a little wormy sidekick guy.
There you go. That's right.
They could have totally got like Yasmin Bleeth and like Nicole Eggert. I mean, I'm sure that there was
no. They're both too busy doing Lifetime movies. Ron and
I just knowing there had to be like some cocaine on the set, and they would have done it for that, knowing what those two have become.
It's a little expensive. I think these people had some ecstasy and some weed, man, and some beer and cheap vodka. I don't think these people are springing for the yayo.
They could have crushed up some caffeine pills and. Well,
then they could have gotten Jesse from Saved by the Bell to come by and do it, because that would have worked.
What was the kid's name on Baywatch, though? What was David Hasselhoff's name? Wasn't it like Hoagie or something like that? Or
the kid was Hobie.
Hobie.
And David Hasselhoff was Mitch, which is
Hobie. Yeah.
Hey,
but I like the idea of calling him Hoagie. That's funnier.
Yeah, if you could have gotten Michael Caine, so that would have worked. Hey, you could have got Anthony Hopkins. He'll take a check for anything. Seen the last Transformers movie? So
I was going to say David Charvet, but that's a good one too.
Yeah, that would work. But no, we have Jamie Kennedy. So the Scream guy, the Ghost Whisperer guy, whatever he's known as now.
Remember, the star of the greatest New Year's Eve special ever recorded.
I'll take your word on that one. Missed that one. So.
It's awful, and it's a brilliant exercise in cringe-worthy comedy, kind of like Jamie Kennedy's whole career.
Do you think Jamie Kennedy wanted to try to be like a new age Andy Kaufman, but just didn't have any of the timing or the talent for it?
I think so. That's why he did all those Jamie Kennedy experience shows.
Like him and Tom Green and what's his name from Johnny Knoxville from Jackass. I kind of all put in that same pile of like, we want to be Andy Kaufman but edgier, but we're not any good. So, and not that I love Kaufman, but I mean, the guy had a way.
Speaking of people they should have got for this movie, Tom Green should have come rolling through.
I would have bought that. Tom Green getting eaten by a tentacle monster all day. Why can that not happen? So, I mean, they couldn't have got Noah Wyle from one of those librarian action movies on TNT. So
no, those apparently are successful.
Oh, see, I've never seen one, so I'm making fun of something I haven't watched. But they do keep making them, so clearly something worked. But
and he just got done fighting like other space aliens anyway. So
oh, that's right. He was on that last ship thing or whatever. So
no, he was on the other one, Falling Skies.
There we go. Well, they all run together.
Says the guy who reviewed it for like 5 seasons.
There you go. You know these things. So denofgeek.com. So you can look for Ron. So okay. Anybody got anything on the ending where Kaylee does the Jaws 2 gas thing, or the Die Hard 2 yippee-ki-yay MFer thing?
I was just hoping she would have found like a big tank of oxygen and thrown it in some CGI monster's mouth and then shot it with a gun.
That would have been the end of Leviathan, right? So, which is the ripoff of the end of the thing.
So my question is like, they understand, like, if you're wearing boots, for instance, the thing really can't get you.
Right.
It's got to be able to touch your flesh. There's no flip-flops or anything anywhere that they couldn't grab.
I guess
no. Remember, the guy puts on the flip-flops and they say it won't work because of, I assume, because they weren't closed-toed shoes.
So
yeah, the girls, I mean, if this movie would have been better, the girls could have just took their tops off and wrapped them around their feet and then hopped to the grass.
If they had cast more Playboy models, that might have happened, but then it would have been a different kind of movie. And
yeah, now we're getting into some USA Up All Night territory.
They weren't going for that. So
then it would have called it like Massacre at Bikini Beach, and it's automatically a better movie.
Yep. Hey, speaking of beach and bad acting stuff, you couldn't get Nicholas Brendan to come and be in this thing. Sorry, Nick.
Wow.
So anyway, I still love Xander as a character, but anyway, no, there's nothing good that happens. We have morning, and then I'm asking you guys. I put jellyfish in the plot summary when I wrote it. Is that a jellyfish? Is that a mutant? What the hell is the thing swimming toward the beach at the end?
I gotta say it's a jellyfish, just for lack of knowing any other things it could be. I can't think of can't think of any like octopus that glow a radioactive green color, but I know that like jellyfish have some bioluminescence.
Right.
It's the Kraken.
If only it had been like the Harry Hamlin Kraken, that would have been fun. So.
A big stop motion monster from Harryhausen Studios.
Yes, exactly. It looks like if you gave David Bautista 2 other arms. Yes, that's what I wanted this to be.
Yeah, and they could have just reused the model octopus from I think it's Terror of the Deep
or the Beast, the Peter Benchley thing. Why not just reuse that?
But I want them to use the Ray Harryhausen one from the 50s because it only has 7 tentacles. Because as he said, it was cheaper to do 7 than it was to do 8.
Right. What a great time in cinema. And now it's replaced by bad computers. So that's the problem here. Well, again, I go back to if this is supposed to be a jellyfish, like you need to do the Anaconda thing, the preposterous title card that says jellyfish are known to burrow in the sand and attack multiple people at once, or some science bullshit. Just so at least I have something to hang on to. Like, don't keep it a secret what the monster is. Just tell us. Like, why secret? There's not going to be the Sand 2, the Sandening. Like, that's not going to happen.
I don't know if this. There's always a chance that sci-fi could pick this up and make a sequel.
I think like the guys at the asylum would even look at this and go, "Man, this looks bad." Like,
the asylum are now doing like the asylum are doing like upmarket big pictures now because they've got all that Z Nation money.
Yeah, well, yeah, this is true. They're actually doing Lifetime horror movies now, so that's true. So.
Yeah, I was thinking of it came from Beneath the Sea, by the way, not Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. Beast from 20,000 Fathoms looks like a Gila monster.
They could have been the one from Stone Cold, right? The Nile monster. So. Why is
It could've
Brian
been Brian
Bosworth not the
Bosworth.
cop? That would have been even better.
Why is Brian Bosworth not the monster?
Exactly.
I can't think of anything more terrifying than like a spray tanned 50-year-old Brian Bosworth emerging from the sand.
Maybe if he had to oil wrestle a spray tanned Eric Roberts shirtless. There we go.
Terrifying.
So, Nick wanted naked babes. You and I want Eric Roberts and Brian Bosworth. So.
I mean,
Why can't we have it all?
Yeah, exactly. Let's go for full USA Up All Night and just have everything we want.
Wouldn't it? It would be much better than what we got. So, okay, guys. So, like, how much of a small popcorn is this movie, Ron?
Very small popcorn. Last time I went to the movies and we got popcorn outside of an Alamo Draft House in New York, they had burned the entire load of popcorn in the machine. So we got popcorn, it was all burnt, took it back, got another thing of popcorn, it was all burnt, took it back, got a third thing of popcorn, it was also all burnt. Well, the stuff that was even too burnt to try to foist off on unsuspecting idiots like myself is the small popcorn that this movie is. The only thing to recommend it is in the first like 15 minutes when that guy gets his face eaten off. And everything after that is just a real letdown. Because if these had been like goopier kills, or if we'd seen some like, you've got that topless girl. Why not have like CGI like the monster eating her boobs or something? Or when she's down there throwing up, why not have like tendrils leap up and like rip her face off? Or you've got the computer, you've got the blood program, so just run the blood program on everyone. People shouldn't just be sinking into the sand. They should be like exploding in entrails, like when Gilbert gets ripped down through that garbage can and eaten. Like they should have just like shot off like a blood cannon.
Yeah, it should have been Johnny Depp in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes, he should have. There should have been an explosion of blood because a guy that size has got a lot of blood. They got their best kill out of the way early, so it's not even really worth sticking around to the end. And the only thing that got me through the interminable hanging on the edge of a car scene was hoping that she was going to get like flayed alive.
All right, Nick.
This is a tough one for me. I started watching this movie, and like I said, we got that gory kill, we got some boobs, and I was thinking, I'm like, hey, maybe we'll get some more of this. And as Ron said, we don't get any more of this. I mean, they shot their load in the first like 10 minutes of this movie. So really, the rest of it is just it's a terrible movie. I mean, it is, but it's kind of like terrible in a way that it's still kind of watchable. But it is a small popcorn. I mean, there's probably not many other ways you could, kill 2 hours and have a worse time. But I imagine, you could probably get kicked in the balls for 2 hours and that would be worse. So, I mean, it's a bad movie. It's probably actually the worst movie we've reviewed yet. And I am very, very proud of that. So, I am because not only did I waste my time, I wasted your guys' times, Ron's wife time. So it's that almost brings it up to a medium popcorn, but unfortunately it's still going to be a small popcorn.
Yeah, obviously this is small popcorn. It's not even good small popcorn. Like small popcorn can be fun, but this is not it.
At times though, it does show like signs of some level of competence. Like you've got a couple of good things in there, but they just don't. I really think they just didn't have the money for it. They saved all their money for the face eating, and then they saved all their money for Jamie Kennedy, and then Jamie Kennedy getting his arm ripped off, and then everything else they just did it as cheaply as possible. Maybe they saved like $5 to make the guy explode into a shower of digital guts, but I mean. George Romero did that effect and better in 1985. And it was just a dude screaming and a bunch of people pulling a bunch of like leftover pork products covered in ketchup.
Right. And it looked a lot better and it was a lot more fun. And moreover, there was something to the story that you cared about. And that's the problem with this movie, is that you can be cheap and dumb and be fun if you give me something to care about. But there's nothing to care about in this at all, like under any circumstances. So this isn't even like so bad it's good and fun. It's not in that category at all. I would not recommend this under any circumstances. But I do recommend you stick around on this podcast because we teased it. We're doing it. Carnosaur 1 through 3 coming up. I can't wait, guys. This is going to be, maybe we just rename it Schlocktober this year, because that's kind of what we're going for. But I watched the first 10 minutes of the first Carnosaur. I've never seen any of them before. And I think I wrote you both, and I was like, I'm in. I'm sold. So I was like, oh, yeah, this movie knows what it's doing. And unlike this one, was maybe people that didn't know how to do this, those people know they're in a horrible piece of trash, and they're going to make it fun. Like that I can go with 10 times over before or something like this. So I'm looking forward to Carnosaur with you guys.
And that's not even my favorite Carnosaur. I think my favorite Carnosaur is number 2.
That's going to be fun to see. So, Nick, you have any background with the Carnosaur movies other than the fact that we referenced them 100 times in the Stone Cold review?
Just bringing up what I said in the Stone Cold review, where my dad rented that for me as a child during the Jurassic Park stuff. But we'll get into that when we actually review the movie. I got some more funny anecdotes for that. So
that's gonna be fun. So I'm looking forward to talking to you guys about that, and of course, folks, for joining us. Thanks again. You can, of course, keep up with all of our podcast episodes on our website, continuousplaypodcast.com/movies. You can get us on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, whichever we're going to call it now, Stitcher, Google Play, and hey, leave us a review on those. It helps other people find the show. We do appreciate the support. Until next time, for Ron and Nick, I'm Jay. Thanks for listening to Film Strip.
Thank you for listening to Film Strip. You can find more episodes on our website, continuousplaypodcast.com/movies. Please leave us a positive review on iTunes and link up with us on Facebook. The Film Strip theme music is produced and performed by Frozen Lake 121.